So we're talking about constraints and the two why we are using constraints. So without constraints, what will happen? We have created the table called employee table. So we are not given any conditions here. So if you insert 102 Asha 20,000, it will be accepted. Again, if you insert 102 Asha 20,001, it is accepted. But the table main intention is employee information should be saved here. But employee ID, so for each and every employee, it should be unique. So like Aadhaar card, PAN card, the employee ID should be unique for each individual. But our system, like our table is allowing duplicates like 102, 102, 103, 103, 104, 105, 106, 106. So instead of that, so when I create my employee ID, it should accept only unique records. It does not allow duplicates. So even in first time, if you entered 102, it should allow. In second time, if you entered 102, it should not allow. In that is the case, for that purpose, we create the constraints. So we have couple of constraints like primary key constraint, unique key, foreign key, not null, null, check, default. All these are constraints only. So initially we'll discuss about primary key. So what is primary key? Primary key, what it will do? It is a combination of unique key plus not null. Means it does not allow duplicate values. It does not allow null values. Primary key does two things. First part, it does not allow duplicate values. Like this, it does not allow when you create the primary key in this particular column, it does not allow the duplicate keys. Like if you entered 102, 102, it does not allow. If you entered first time, it will accept. If you entered second time, it throws error. It shows like it is already exist. When you create primary key, it does not allow duplicate. And the same time, it does not allow null values. Here, if you enter null, it does not allow. Why? Because this is employee ID. This is main column. For each employee, definitely, if you join one organization, definitely the employee ID should be there. That should be must, like mandatory. That should be unique. So like a PAN card, Aadhaar card, it should be unique. So it does not have null, right? So whenever we create primary key, it is a combination. Yeah.
Actually,
Hello.
బయట ఇవ్వాలి ఇక్కడ తెలియదు.
So primary key, it does not allow duplicates and it does not allow null values. So primary key will do that one. So first initially I will creating one table. Create table, table name. This is my department table, department ID int. Here I will create primary key. Create table, table name. Create table, table name, department ID int, not null, primary key. Department ID int. Usually we create department ID int, department name varchar, create a date, salary, big int. We have int, right? So similarly, we have big int, small int as well. Age int. So I'm creating this table with the primary key. Only primary key is looking into this department ID only. Constraint is created for only this column, not all the columns. Now see, you can insert the data into the table. For now, there is no data. Now I'm inserting 103 is my department ID. So it shows one row affected. When I entered 103, it is accepted. It is unique. In second time, when I entered same data, see, violation of primary key constraint cannot insert duplicate key in object department. The duplicate key value is 103. By seeing the error message itself, you will understand Once you create the primary key, if it is entered the unique value, that's fine. If you entered any duplicate value, it throws one error, primary key constraint. Error also clearly they can explain like insert duplicate key in department table. That too, the value is 103. The duplicate key value is 103. So it does not have duplicate. So again, if you entered 104, 104, it will allow. Why? Because it is a unique value, unique combination it is. Again, if you entered 104, it will not allow. See, you can here 104. 104 is already exist. This is duplicate value. So whenever you create the primary key, it does not allow duplicates and it does not allow null value. See, we will try with null. Here you can try with null. For that we get to use, see, cannot insert the value null into column department ID. Department column does not allow null values. So it satisfies the primary key column. So it does not have duplicate, it does not have null values. For one table, we need to create only one primary key. For one table, only we need to create only one primary key. Like Aadhaar card, PAN card, we cannot create multiple column names in single table. We cannot create multiple primary keys. We have only one primary key per single table. This is a unique one. Understand what it is? So after like data type, you need to mention like here department ID integer primary key. Understand? Any questions? Rajat, any question? Ajay, Yuva, Gautami,
No, sir.
is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So now I'm going to next topic, that is unique key. Unique key. The name itself shows like unique. The column should be unique, means it does not allow duplicate values. Similarly, what primary key will do? Same thing, like it does not allow duplicate value. And similarly, it does not allow null values. That is primary key. But here, it does not allow duplicate values. It allows only one null value. It allows only one null value. Here, it does not allow duplicate. It doesn't allow null slightly. But here, there is some concession. It allows only one null value. It does not allow duplicates, but it allows only one null value. That is unique key. Let's try here. Drop table GPT. So department ID primary key. Department name, I will create the unique key. So maybe the department name should be unique, right? IT department, sales department, marketing department, HR department. If you enter like multiple departments, it is useless, right? One, for example, one is there, that is IT department. Two, again, if you entered IT means there is no make sense here. It should be unique. Obviously, 1, 2, 3, 4, we have created primary key means it shows like unique values. But again, you enter like a department ID, IT and IT, sales and sales. So it does not make any sense. So we can keep it this column as a unique key. In that time, it will give like this: sales and marketing for primary keys and unique values here. So now I'm entering this one. One and department IT. It is inserted. See, one unique it is. So again, if I entered, primary key will throws. Already one is exist. Okay. When I entered two, but again I am inserting IT only. See, unique key constant will throw. Why? Because already IT is there. So we need to change it to sales. One row affected. Now I need to enter null here. So 2 is already existed, primary key thing it came. One row affected. See, as per our unique key theoretical description, it does not allow duplicate. So first time I entered IT. In second time I tried with IT, it does not accept it. First time I entered sales, and second time when I entered sales, it does not accept. Why? Because it does not allow duplicate values. It allows only one null value. That is the theoretical syntax I said. So I entered one null value. So it is accepted. In second time, when I insert null, like here, 4, that is unique. So it does not fail primary key syntax. But null, already one null is there. But when I entered second time, null value. This time it will not allow. So even null also it is duplicate. It is showing. Okay, understand what is the unique key? It does not allow duplicates. It allows only one null value. That is unique key. Unique key. It does not allow duplicate values. It allows only one null value. And next. Next default. Next one is default constraints. Default means, for example, I have created date. When I insert data into table, so this one, like this is the created date. When I insert data into this table, so whatever the data I inserted, it should be inserted. If I not inserted any date here, by default, it should be inserted current date, get date. If I entered any date, it should be accepted. If in case, if I not entered any date, by default, it should take current system date. For that purpose, we use default constraint like this. What this get date will do? See here, select get date. When you select get date, you can execute. It will show the current date, system date. Like it will in this format, like a 2023 year, month, day, like 9/27, like hours, minutes, seconds. Completely, it will show like complete date, current date. Again, if you execute now, exact date it will give 9/28. Again, if I execute now, it was 9/28, 8 seconds. If I execute 9/28, 11 seconds. If I execute 14 seconds. So it will give the current system date. So I am putting the constant here. Created date by default get date. If I entered any value in the created date, it should take that date. If I not entered any date, by default, it should enter the current system date. For that purpose, I use this. So created. Now I will try to insert. So one department ID I will enter one date 2020. Okay, it was accepted. So when I run this, IT name created date salary 20. Okay, fine. It was good. So now I will write it as a null. So now what it will come? Tell me, Rajat. If I execute this, what it will throw? What it will show? Any one of you?
By default, we'll get the present date, sir.
See, observe the syntax first. First value what I entered 1.
Yes, sir.
So in table already 1 is there, right? So what error it will come? Primary key error. Why? Because already in this table department ID primary key is there, right? See, primary key error. Why? Because initially I entered 1, again I entered 1. Forgot about second, third, fourth, fifth. Initially it will execute insert this value, right? So that is the reason first department ID primary key will hit. Okay, then if I entered 2 in table, we have one department ID. This is there. Now when I execute this, what it will throw? Whether it is inserted or throws an error.
IT is already there, no, sir.
Which one?
So in the second one, IT.
Correct.
In department, we should change other name.
Yes. When I execute this, unique key error will come. IT is already exist. Now tell me whether it is executed or it throws any error.
It will execute it.
Executed. Correct. Why? Because it should satisfy first constraint. It is satisfied second constraint. In third one, as per our default constraint, get it insert cheyaledu nenu. Okay, no need to mention anything. Here, I forcefully inserted null value. That is the reason it is inserted null. When I remove here this column and this column, when I entered this market, now when I execute, see current date will be inserted, right? My created date column is date. So that is the reason it will take only date. Previously, I forcefully entered null value. In the created date, I forcefully entered null. So it is obviously entered null. Now I have not entered anything. I remove that column and the values, and I can execute only whatever the data we have, like ID, name, salary, age. I'm not bothered about created date. But still, the data is inserted here. If I entered anything, like if I entered this date, it was taken. If I entered null, it was taken. But if I not bothered anything, so by default, it take the get date, current date. Understand? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So that is default. Remaining the smaller ones only. Not null. Not null means it does not allow the null values. So when you use it in not null constraint, here salary is there. If you enter not null, what will happen? If you enter null value in salary table, it does not allow. Why? Because it throws the column should be entered any value. Like in application, if you see after column name, before column name, it shows like a red color star symbols. It is a mandatory columns, right? So those columns in backend they mention not null. These are the mandatory columns. Make sure you can give any value. Usually in any application. So when you fill any forms, Sometimes it shows like some mandatory columns. The red color star, they can say name is the star column. Like a PAN card is the Aadhaar card is the star column. Like those are the mandatory columns. So in backend, they can keep this not null condition. So if you allow null, if you enter null value or keep it empty, it does not allow. Make sure you can allow enter any other value. Then only it will accept. In that situation, we can give not null here. If you enter constant not null, make sure you can give the value. Similarly, null is there. Null. If you enter the value, okay. If you not enter the value, that is also okay. So it is like flexible. If you enter the value, fine. If you not enter also, fine. If you enter, it will take the value. If you not entered, it will insert the null. Okay, that is null. Now check constant. What the check constant will do? So see here, age int check. Age is by column name. So for any employee, the minimum age for employment in any registered organization, like a corporate culture, his age should be greater than 18 years. So he is eligible for the work, right? For any employee in corporate, the minimum age should be 18 years and maximum age. So as per norms, it is like 60. So only if you enter the age here, it will accept only in between values only. If you enter age 2, he's the employee, that is, it does not make sense, right? So we need to throw error. So that is the reason we put the constraint here, like check constraint. Check in brackets, age is greater than 18 and age is less than 60, right? So if you enter the like value like his age is 22, it will accept. Why? Because it is in between value. If you entered 100 or 90, it does not accept. Why? Because it is not in the range. So I'm created with all the conditions. Okay. Int check constant. Check constant age greater than 80 and age less than 60. Let insert here. So I entered one IT. Even I not entered salary as well. Why? Because for created date, I default I have something. For salary, default it entered something. I am entering the age 20. So I ran this. One row affected. So let's see what shows here. DEPT executed. So one department ID. I have not entered any created date here, but default current date is entered. I have not entered any salary here. By default, 10,000 is entered. Age group 20. It is satisfied because it is in the range of this one. And second time when I entered to sales and my age is 70. So I ran this. See, some conflicted is showing. Conflicted with the check constraint. So column name age, it throws some error in the age. So age. So in that time you can go with the table. When you click Alt F1, it shows this. Here you can verify like, okay, constant type is check constant and age column. You can keep on scroll right side. Here the condition. So the age should be greater than 18 and age should be less than 60. So that is the reason it is not accepted. Something is failed means you can see the constraints here. So when you enter like 60, again it throws. Why? Because less than 60 means it will accept up to 59 only. Less than 60, it will accept up to 59. Less than equal to 60 means it will allow 60 as well. But now I keep it less than 60, not less than equal to. See, it is inserted, it is accepted. So this is the check constraint. Like this, we can use the check constraint. So we got a maximum like primary key, what is primary key, what is unique key, what is default, what is check constraint, what is not null, what is not null, what is null constraints. So we covered all these constraints, right? You understand what all this? Say yes or no. Anything you need, I need to clarify.
Yes, sir.
You're following. Hello. Is it clear? Any questions?
Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
అంటుంటున్నాడా
And now the second time, like
మా అమ్మ కూడా అంతే
you can
మా అమ్మ
mute
కూడా
your.
అంతే
Can you mute? Okay. Now these constants we will create while creating the table, right? As of now, we created the constants while creating the table. That is correct. Fine. Everything is good. Sometimes what will happen? We created the table without creating the constants. Without creating the, we can create the table without creating the constants. So while creating the table, if you entered all these constants, that is good. That is okay. But sometimes what will happen? We created the table. Unfortunately, we cannot create any constants. By that time, you entered the data as well. Like this. You created the table. You cannot create the constants. You enter the duplicate data as well. In this time, you cannot do anything. Already you created the table, you enter the data as well. Now you cannot create the primary key in this column. You cannot create the unique key in this column. You cannot create the age constant for this column. Why? Because already the duplicate data is inserted. Duplicate thing is inserted here. We cannot. So we can delete the duplicate data, then you are able to create the constraints. So every time you cannot drop the table like this. What I have done, we cannot drop not like that. So you can keep the table same thing, and just you can keep the same table like that. You can delete the duplicate data. You can delete the duplicate data. Make sure you can keep unique data. Then you are able to create the constants. How we need to create? Again, you cannot use the create this syntax, right? So that is the reason we have alter statements. So now I need to add the primary key for the table. Already table is exist. I cannot create second time the table. So I will use this constraint alter table name, add constraint, my constraint name. It might be anything, your remembering purpose. So constraint name primary key. So I am creating the primary key. For which column you are creating the primary key? I am creating for the department ID. Alter table name, add constraint name. I am creating the primary key. For which column you are creating primary key? For this column. So now check the department ID first. See, there is no primary keys here. There is no primary key in this table. There is no primary key. This is file group, not primary key. Okay. So now this is already table is exist In that time, I'm creating this. Alter table, table name, add constraint, constraint name, primary key, department name. Cannot define primary key constraint on nullable column in table. So the table column primary key is there, I mean department ID is there, but it is nullable column. So make sure that that column has not null constraint. Alter table, table name, alter department ID, int not null. So that column is now officially not null column. It does not have null values now. Now I'm able to create the primary key. See, it is accepted the primary key now. Now check whether primary key is created or not. From here, see, constraint is created, that is primary key for which column? Department ID. So there are two ways we need to create the primary keys. First one is while creation of the table, we can mention like here. Second one is, so already table is created with the columns. In that time, when you want to create primary key, thumb rule is no need, there is no duplicate data in the table. First thing, we can delete the duplicate data. Second thing, we can use the not null column. The column should be dot null. Before creating the primary key, the column should be not null column. Then you can able to create the primary key. So primary key is created. So in second time, I will create the unique key. So how it similarly same thing like alter table, table name, add constraint, constraint name, unique. My column name is this department name. I am executing this. So it is accepted. Now check. Unique key is created, right?